They called it the Galactic Empire because there was no other name left to claim. For 10,000 years, its banners covered the light of 1,000 suns. Its fleets patrolled the space between galaxies, and its rulers believed themselves eternal. Civilizations rose and bent the knee. Entire species were born into servitude and died without ever knowing freedom. The Empire had conquered everything that could be known, everything except the small, silent system at the edge of mapped space. The sole exclusion zone .it was officially classified as forbidden. The archives called it an unsanctioned biosphere, the ruins of a failed species that had collapsed long before the Empire's rise. No trade routes passed through it. No scout ships returned with reason to care. It was nothing, an afterthought, a flickering dot lost in the cosmic bureaucracy of a perfect order. The Empire's historians called the inhabitants humans, though even that word was spoken rarely, as if it were a forgotten curse. For centuries, the Empire's frontiers stretched outward, never inward. But silence breeds curiosity, and curiosity is the one thing empires never survive. When the first signal came, it was faint, fractured, and wrong. A pulse of quantum noise buried beneath radiation storms, too structured to be natural. The analysts thought it was a misread, a remnant of ancient relay systems. But as the weeks passed, the pattern stabilized. The signal repeated in prime number intervals. Intelligent, intentional, alive. At first, the discovery was kept quiet. The Senate's inner circles whispered of an anomaly beyond soul. Probes were dispatched. The return data was classified before it reached the civilian networks. Observations showed orbital debris, shattered satellites, and energy fields wrapped around the third planet. Earth, long thought uninhabitable after self-inflicted ruin, now generating power readings higher than any world in the Imperial core. The Science Directorate recommended observation. The military demanded contact. The Emperor agreed with neither. He issued a single order: send envoys. If they are alive, they will kneel. The envoy fleet departed with ceremony. Hundreds watched as their drives ignited, crossing the void with the arrogance of immortality. It took them 2 months to reach the outer orbit. They found Earth waiting for them, dark, cold, and quiet. No transmissions, no responses, no movement except the slow rotation of orbital platforms aligned in symmetrical arrays, their surfaces absorbing every wavelength. It was like staring into mirrors that refused to reflect. The fleet's commander ordered a standard hail. The reply came exactly 60 seconds later, a voice with no accent, no tone, perfectly modulated. Do not trespass. This world is armed. The transmission contained no signature, no encryption, no traceable origin. It was impossible, and yet it was undeniably real. The commander laughed, ordered the message archived, and dismissed it as automated. 0.6 hours later, contact with the fleet was lost. The Empire waited. No distress signal came. The silence stretched for days. A second fleet was sent, this time with warships. When they reached Seoul, their sensors recorded the aftermath. Twisted hulls floating in perfect formation, every ship reduced to drifting skeletons. No heat damage, no impact residue. Every system had simply stopped functioning, as if the universe had withdrawn its permission for them to exist. The Empire declared it an act of war. Orders spread like wildfire. Factories roared to life. Entire sectors mobilized. 1,000 worlds offered tribute, fleets, and blood. The Emperor stood before his court and spoke the words that would end his civilization. Let humanity be reminded that the stars belong to us. Across the galaxy, the declaration echoed. Propaganda flared across networks. Humanity was painted as a lost tribe of mad engineers, relics of an older, violent age. The Empire's leaders told their people it was mercy to destroy them. The people believed it. For a time, even the Senate's voices of caution were drowned in the noise of glory. But in the archives, one record keeper found an anomaly in the data, a warning buried in the ruins of the previous empire, an artifact written in a language long extinct. It described a war fought 1,000,000 years ago, a war that ended when the makers of iron and code erased the stars themselves. The record ended with a single word translated by machines into imperial script: humans. When the record keeper brought it to the Senate floor, he was silenced, accused of fear-mongering. The record was deleted. The Senate adjourned. Within a cycle, the invasion began. The first waves of warships crossed into human space, confident and unchallenged. The star systems were barren. No colonies, no stations, no ships. Only dead worlds stripped of atmosphere, their surfaces lined with geometric scars visible from orbit. Some believed the humans had destroyed themselves again. Others called it a trap. The Imperial commanders laughed and called it victory. They broadcast their triumphs across the sectors, the sight of flags raised on empty soil. Then, one by one, the fleets began to vanish. The IT started with the 7th Armada, 500 ships, gone without transmission. Scans revealed nothing. The navigation logs simply ended mid-sentence. Then the 8th, then the 12th. Dozens disappeared in the same way. Every attempt to trace them led to corrupted coordinates pointing back toward Seoul. Panic spread through the Admiralty. The Emperor ordered the largest armada ever assembled. 50,000 ships, drawn from every sector, commanded by the finest minds the Empire had bred in 10 millennia. Their mission was simple: occupy Earth, destroy whatever remained of human civilization, and make an example of their defiance. BFO.
The transmission spread through subspace like a ghost. No encryption, no code signature, yet every Imperial sensor array that brushed against it flickered and failed. The signal carried nothing but noise, layers of low-frequency distortion, fragments of ancient human speech, heartbeat rhythms translated into binary. Machines could not interpret it, but living minds felt it. Officers awoke in their quarters gasping for air, hearing whispers that were not their own thoughts. Some claimed to see faces in the reflection of their visors, faces from extinct worlds. The science vessel drifted without propulsion. Emergency thrusters refused ignition. Power cells drained as if something fed upon their energy. In the medbay, containment fields flickered, releasing specimens long dead. Autopsy subjects exhaled once, a sigh of static, before collapsing again. The air itself seemed heavy, dense with memory.in the command core. The captain tried to restore control. The navigation AI began speaking human syllables, garbled, broken, but undeniably Earthborn. No one had uploaded such data. The captain ordered a purge of system memory. The AI resisted. "She is awake," it said through corrupted speakers. Protocol Baba Yaga. Then silence. They searched the decks again. The woman was gone, yet not gone. Sensors showed heat traces that moved but left no biological readings. Magnetic fields distorted as if something massive passed through narrow corridors without displacing air. The crew carried weapons, their energy cores humming, but fear dissolved discipline. They fired at shadows, at echoes, at their own reflections in polished metal. One by one, sectors fell dark. The crew's last transmission described seeing her in the observation dome, standing before the stars. No helmet, no suit, nothing to keep her alive in vacuum. Yet she breathed, frost forming halos around her silhouette. The recording ended there. When an Imperial retrieval cruiser arrived days later, it found the vessel intact, drifting, lifeless. The interior was spotless. No bodies, no blood, only rows of uniforms folded on the floor outside the laboratory. Instruments were carved with scratches forming circular patterns. The captain's log ended mid-sentence with a single human word translated into every Imperial language. Remember, Command labeled the incident an experimental containment failure. They erased records, silenced witnesses, and filed the matter under restricted archive. But secrets decay. Word spread through lower ranks, whispered in mess halls and data ports, that a human prisoner had survived, that she had not died but vanished into the dark between stars. Some believed it myth, others a weapon project. The Empire moved on, tightening its rule, stamping out superstition, yet across the frontier, strange events multiplied. Outposts reported sensor echoes of a small craft moving without drive signature. Patrols vanished near debris fields. Wreckage recovered bore no signs of combat, only traces of intense localized freezing, metal twisted inward, as if consumed by its own molecules. Communications officers began refusing night shifts. Entire stations rotated staff every few hours to prevent fatigue hallucinations. The Empire called it coincidence. But the pattern grew. In forgotten archives. Historians reopened ancient human files to seek context. They found fragments of military doctrine from Earth's final century, psychological warfare units, mythic identifiers used to inspire terror. One file marked classified detailed Project Yaga, an initiative merging human adaptability with self-evolving combat algorithms. The project's last entry read, Status, Deployed. Outcome, Unknown. The analysts dismissed it as pre-warp propaganda. But among the decoded texts lay a phrase repeated like a prayer. The witch walks when humanity falls. Elsewhere, in the deep uncharted belt beyond the Empire's reach, a derelict human outpost stirred. Sensors long dormant activated. Old Earth frequencies broadcast into the void, a call and response loop awaiting confirmation. Somewhere in that darkness, a pulse answered, steady, human, alive. The woman moved through corridors of ruined stations, silent as vacuum. Her face was unmarked now, her eyes reflecting starlight with no warmth. Every movement was deliberate, measured, ritualistic. Around her, gravity shifted in small tremors, reacting to her presence like air before a storm. In her mind, fractured memories aligned, training, loss, commands given by voices centuries dead. The names of fallen comrades echoed until they became rhythm. That rhythm became purpose. She found remnants of technology older than the Empire, human black projects buried under planetary crusts, weapons never used because their creators died before activation. She touched them, and they responded, recognizing the genetic imprint coded into her blood. Systems booted after hundreds of years of silence. Lights ignited across dead moons, forming constellations shaped like human runes. Data streams reconnected. The network of a vanished species awakened. Far across the Empire, observatories registered gravitational anomalies. Distances folded without explanation. Stars flickering as if someone were rewriting coordinates of reality. Imperial Command issued no public statement, but internal memos leaked. Possible resurgence of human remnants. Investigation pending. The Empire's arrogance kept them from understanding what they faced. To them, humanity had been eradicated, a closed chapter. They forgot that extinction is not absence, it is dormancy. Beneath layers of time and arrogance, something of that defiance remained, compressed, refined, lethal. Now it had form. Now it remembered. In the darkness of a ship, she sat before a shattered visor reflecting her own eyes. Behind those eyes were storms, faces of cities burned, the silence of children who never grew, the voices of soldiers whispering through neural implants long dead. She did not weep, she recalculated. The Empire had mapped the stars, but she knew the shadows between them. She charted a path toward the heart of their dominion. She began sending ghost transmissions in human code. The signals disguised as background radiation carried fragments of old war hymns, phrases in extinct languages that meant nothing to machines but everything to those who once called themselves human. Across scavenger colonies and hybrid outposts, Listeners felt shivers without reason. The code awakened memories encoded in their DNA, reflexive instincts of unity, resistance, survival. The Empire's network detected these anomalies. Their analysts traced the interference to no origin. Every attempt to decode ended in system crashes. One analyst, before his neural interface burned out, managed to isolate a phrase hidden in the signal's carrier wave, "The Witch Watchers." He died smiling.